Hello, I'm Irina Baker. Welcome to the podcast I Am a Woman of Power, inspiring stories and practical tips on overcoming challenges by going within and connecting with your divine power. In addition, every interview has a complimentary companion podcast practice at radiantmastery.com/practice. Hello, I'm Irina Baker, your host, and I'm here with Taryn Laakso. Hi, Taryn.
Hi, Irina.
Thank you so much for graciously agreeing to be here at this interview. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for inviting me here. I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Perfect. We'll go right into it. But I would like to introduce Taryn first. She is a life transition coach, unlocking one's full potential while balancing personal and professional lives with kindness, compassion, and self-love. And these are the magic words we all need, right?
Yes.
That's right. And now, please, Taryn, let's start with the story. What's the challenging story you want to share today with us?
Well, as I say, it's around transitions, and I would say 2019 was a really big year of transitions for myself and my children, my relationship. So the story here is around just moving out of a home that had been my safe place for about 7 years, that the first place I moved into after divorce, and the transition of moving into joining a household with my partner. So it was more than just sell a home and find someplace new. It's transitioning into a whole new lifestyle.
Right. So let me confirm or get the details out. You got divorced. You said 7 years, right? 7 years.
Yeah, that I lived in this home was 7 years. Yeah.
So after you got divorced, you got this house.
Yep.
And you live there with your children, with your
my
child?
2 daughters. Yeah.
With your 2 daughters.
Yeah.
Very nice. So 3 of you were living in this house for 7 years. And of course, the years are good years and bad years and challenging years and happy years, right? Everything was there. And after that, you decided that you were moving with the new partner to the new house.
Yes.
That's the normal life situation, right?
Right. Yeah. We all have these new chapters. After one chapter ends, a new chapter begins, and you just kind of flow into it. But it's taking a step back and really looking like what's happened here.
And when you were moving, were you happy about it? Obviously, right? You were selling. You wanted to sell the house, and you were happy about it. Right?
Well, yes, and there's some conflict because there's some independence I'm giving up by now finally partnering with somebody and blending a house. So yes, there's excitement and there's some trepidation, like what is it going to be like to live with somebody again? So it's mixture.
Exactly. And a lot of times we're not even aware of that, right? We think, well, we are ready to plunge into the new direction, we're fine. And we are not even aware of what's going on inside, right? So that was my question. Right. And that was my question. Were you aware of that you didn't want to give up your independence, or you were not at first, at the beginning?
No, I was more aware than I probably was when I first moved in there through the divorce process. I definitely, where I am with my emotional intelligence is much more enhanced than I was before. So yeah, very mindful that this is a period of transition, and but it doesn't mean it was any easier, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's almost like because the blinders are off and you are aware, it makes it sometimes harder.
And what happened? So I call it traditional ways. Traditional ways meaning you take actions in the physical world that you based on your knowledge, the past knowledge and experience. For example, if we want to sell the house, what do? We go and get an agent.
Yeah, you hire an agent, you get your house cleaned up, staged, you do all these steps to make sure it's marketable and it will sell quick.
And that's what you've done, right?
Yes, yeah, that's what I did. Yep.
So you got the agent,
Hmm.
and the agent was doing his or her work, whatever was necessary to sell the house. And then what? Did the house sold
No,
or
it
sell?
took, yeah, it took longer than I had wanted it to. It was uh, probably a misconception on like what the market should have been doing, and it dropped off, and so there's frustration. But there's also, I think, inside myself, I was like, what am I doing here to not make this place sellable or like buyable by somebody else?
This is a great question that you ask. This is so perfect because usually a lot of times people will say, okay, I want to sell a house and I hire the agent. Agent, you do the whole, all the work and
Mhm.
you're responsible. And people expect, right? I would say, expect that the agent will sell the house. That's why I'm paying you the money, commission, and you do the work and you sell the house. But instead of doing that,
Yeah.
you turned it to yourself. I got chills right now. And yes, because if the house is not selling, the agent, was it a woman or a man?
It was a woman, and she's
Okay.
actually, yeah, a dear
Yeah,
friend of mine from middle school who I intentionally picked because I knew she'd have the right energy flow, but there's
right.
my
And
energy.
she's your friend, she's doing the
Mhm.
work, so she's doing everything she can. I just asked because I needed to say she, not he or she all the
Mhm.
time. Okay, so she was doing all the work and she was doing the right work and good work because you knew she would. Okay, she's done that. But the point is, the good point is, you turned it yourself and you said, what am I doing or not doing that the house is not being sold? This is the focus here. I want everybody to pause here and just get it, because the house, what am I doing or
Mhm.
not doing? This is brilliant. Okay,
Right.
keep going.
Well, and as we spoke a little bit earlier on, is like I had resistance to what was I was moving towards and what I was leaving. So there was conflict within myself of, am I ready to let this house go that has represented 7 years of independence, of me actually finding myself? I grew up in this house, not from a like mature, well, yes, maturity, but from like who I was
Right,
back in,
right,
2013 to present. I've grown up, and then my children grew up in this home. So there's a
right,
lot of attachment, a lot of energy around this
right.
home, what it represented, and I wasn't ready I to let it go. And so I had to kind of come to this place of like, what am I holding on to that is not allowing the flow of energy for somebody new to come and step into it? So there's, yeah,
This
there's
is
just
this is the interview that all real estate agents should watch. I was already thinking about it because they're doing perfect job. I'm sure everybody wants to do a great job and they
hmm
do the great job. It's so much for agents, real estate agents. It's a hard work, right?
it really is.
It's
Yeah.
really hard work. And so to help them with that, so they can take physical steps and market the house and do what they're supposed to do, but also maybe their customers or those who are sellers of the house, they would need to watch you telling them, think about it, look at
Yeah,
yourself, what is it that you attach to the house and you're not
absolutely.
letting it go, right? This is so perfect.
Yeah, I would find myself continue, like even we had moved out, but I was
Mhm.
still finding things to come back to and take care of in this house. Like I was still invested in it as my place of sanctuary, as all this other transition of moving and trying to find my way in the new home. I was still coming back to this safe place. Like I called my home kind of my chateau, my castle. Like
Right,
it was a protective place for me for this period of time, and
right.
I wasn't quite ready to let the walls down and let somebody else come in.
Exactly, exactly. And would you say that after your divorce, because divorce, the transition through divorce, it's still a trauma. No matter if it's
Absolutely.
good, easy, what kind, it's trauma for both parties plus the children. So you
Hmm.
have to sort of lick the wounds after the trauma, right? You
Yes,
have to have
absolutely.
that period of inner contemplation or inner self going inside, right? And lick your wounds and heal and process and grow. Like you said, you've grown in this house emotionally, spiritually, in all ways, right?
Yeah.
So of course, now suddenly you need to go out into the world, right? That's how it felt.
Yeah, go on an adventure outside of the protective walls.
And be vulnerable with the new
Hmm.
partner.
Hmm.
That's a big step. And really, and the house, usually if you love the house, sometimes I think people get divided into two categories: either they love the house so much or they hate the house, then they try to get away, right?
Yeah.
You
Running, like
can't just be
running
neutral.
away, or yeah.
You can be neutral, right? It's your place, you spend time here, it's your
Mhm.
home, right? So you love the house, obviously.
I did, yeah. I loved what it represented, and and yes, there was actually some things that really irritated me about it. So it's like it was. There's never one set feeling towards something. I think
Uh-huh.
everything is always more than it, and it's complicated.
Well, the house
So
has a personality. The house,
absolutely, yeah.
yeah, and you get to know it because you
Mhm.
don't know when you get the house first, but then you know, okay, this outlet doesn't work, or this thing switches all the time, or something else, and
Right.
it's
You,
just
you know
it's
the
there.
nuances of it. Yeah, yeah.
Right,
The
right,
quirk. Yeah.
right.
Well,
Exactly,
you're
exactly.
in relationship with this house. It's your partner, even though it's not a human. It's a physical entity that you have relationship with.
I love this. Yes,
Yeah.
I love this. I usually teach my clients that it's a part of the ego because it's human. It's human body
Mm.
that is being
Hmm.
sheltered in the house. So it represents the
Yeah.
human body. So it's like your body, your temple, and the same, the house is a temple for your body. So it is your partner, definitely.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
you have to take care of the temple. You have to take care of the body, the house as well. So yes. Okay. And during that time, we're not going to your realization yet. We're still staying in that energy of, I'm not selling the house is not being sold yet. I i am in this energy. I'm asking what I need to do. How did you feel? You said frustrated.
Hmm.
Could I say, because I am talking about a lot about power and being powerless, for the moment when the house is not selling as you want it to, right? Because you put the constraints. This is how I want it. I want it to be sold. I don't want to clean it anymore all the time, right? The house
Yes.
for showings and so forth. So did you feel powerless at that time
Um,
on some
Powerless.
level?
Yeah. I'm not so much as powerless, but impatient, and what there was like, did I misprice this? So there is did in partnership with my agent, did we overestimate and lose out at the beginning? So I think there is some I'm not sure if it's I don't think it's resentment, but there's some word here, and like if it comes up for you, please share it.
Confusion?
Confusion, yeah, and like I not listening to my intuition early on of like lowering the price so it would have sold right away. So
Mm-hmm.
it was like I didn't quite listen to like, oh, I think I was like greediness, like, oh, what's the most that we could get for it versus
Mm-hmm.
what really makes sense here given the conditions of what it was.
And
So
you had that intuition before and you didn't listen to it?
yeah, I'm growing my relationship with my intuition. So it's I'm trusting it more, but it still surprises me. Like, oh, I really should have listened to that
Uh-huh.
intuition earlier
Uh-huh.
on.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So maybe regret is the word I'm looking for. Like, oh, I should have done this instead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, and when you ask yourself, what is it in me that
Mhm.
keeps the house in the same condition? What happened? Not the
Can you,
events, but what happened right away. You asked the question and then what? Just
yeah, so
interesting
ask
how
the,
the process was.
can you re-ask that?
When you ask the question, you
Hmm.
ask yourself, was it conscious first of all? Was it, what is it in me that is not selling?
Oh,
What keeps the house from being sold? What is it in me? So
yeah.
how was the process? What happened afterwards? Did
Yeah,
you get intuition? Did you decide? Did you talk to yourself? Did you get divine guidance? What was the process?
it was a couple things. Connecting with my community, working with my friend Lindsay and creating kind of an energy movement dance ritual. That was a part of it because I'm like, I'm just feeling stuck in general and things aren't flowing. And so she helped create a movement of intention through dance and music. And so I think there was definitely a recognition like something's off here, but not quite yet knowing what it was. And then allowing myself to pull in, like hearing other people say like you, and actually my real estate agent did come into play here, where she's like, what, asking the questions like, what's holding us back here energetically from moving forward. So the question was planted and I took it. I didn't dismiss it like whatever. It is like, oh well, what am I holding on to here? And even having my partner ask me like, what is it that you're resisting into coming into the new house? And he's like, you're spending a lot of time coming back. So it's more others seeing what I was struggling with, but me being open to listening to those
Right,
points of view. Yeah.
right. That's a great point as well, because you had a choice. You could say, oh no, it's the real estate agent job, right? But you heard the advice
Hmm.
and you reacted to it, or you accepted it. So
Yeah,
that was absolutely great that you've done it, because that brought you results.
it did. Yeah. Yeah.
So when they pose that question, what is holding you with this house? What's the attachment? What did you realize?
Um,
And how you did it? You did the dance, and what else? Anything else?
um, lots of like just spending time in there, listening to the house and listening to the thoughts that came with it. So spending time alone, like I'd pop in there after work before going to the new home and just sitting with the house and listening to what it had to say and honoring the memories of what had happened and the emotions. So I had to do my grieving. I think that was a piece of it. Like there's a grief to the end of this chapter. Not in
Right.
like a horrible place,
Absolutely.
but it's an
Absolutely.
honoring of
Right.
what transpired.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And it felt like you were not releasing the house per se, you were releasing a part of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why the grieving was there, not the house per se, but part of you
Yeah,
that
exactly.
was associated with the house.
Yeah. Yeah, this strong, independent, but scared and confident. And it seems weird to say all of that in one, but
Oh,
it's
it's
all there, right? It's like
right.
there's this. I was a woman who was confident and scared and figuring it out and being determined and resilient. Like this woman, me, was a mix of all that, and now I'm moving into a new place. So it was like just giving myself the honor of that transition, that transformation in which I had occurred.
So what you've just described, that's the woman you were letting go of, right?
Yeah. And welcoming in what next is it, because I'm not completely gone, right? That I am still that woman, but
Right.
I'm like
But it's a
transforming
part
it.
of you, and the new part is emerging.
Yeah.
I call it new self is emerging,
Yep.
because the old self is leaving, the new self is emerging due to your growth.
Yeah. It's
Hmm.
the caterpillar to the butterfly. You go through a transformation.
And you've described what the self was leaving. The one who, yes, confident, yes, good with the world, but still scared, licking the wounds, as you agreed, right? We mentioned that.
Yeah.
After the transition, and the one who needed to be in a safe space, not to be out in the world yet. And then who was emerging? By the way, to get practical tips and awareness shifting activities pertaining to this interview, go to radiantmastery.com/practice to access your complimentary companion podcast practice.
Yeah, I think I'm still emerging, but it's okay. So I'm just gonna say it's a leader in our new family dynamics, like leading us to through the blended family of integration. So that's where I was going to, and where I'm now. Whereas leading self. So now it's leading others versus leading self. That's what the home was representing. Yeah.
So would you be able to say now, I am a woman of power?
Yeah, and it was like I was like, can I? You know, that was the first thought that went through my head. It's like, but yeah, I'm a woman of power.
I started to enjoy. By inspiration. When I did my first interview, I started asking this question, and it's interesting to watch the reaction that women give, because to say that, I mean, the issue with power has been pretty big for women. And when you're out of the blue, you get asked, are you a woman of power? Can you say it on record, right? For everybody to see. That's fun.
But it's stepping into your light and your gifts, and if I can't do it, how do I help my own clients step into their gifts and their wisdom? So yes, I am a woman of power. All women are powerful.
Exactly. Right. But for many women, and to me, that's my purpose in life, or mission in life, to help women to connect with that power, right? To awaken to that power, to really own it. And so that's why I asked you at the beginning, did you feel powerless? Maybe you didn't feel powerless as, oh, I'm falling apart here, right? Because you're not.
Sure.
But versus you said emerging from the cocoon into the butterfly, and I've been growing. So would you be able to say, or would you agree with that, if of course, if you do, that you didn't have that power of the leadership, the one that you were emerging, and that was natural process you needed to go through? So in that respect, would you say when you were not a woman of power yet, you were growing, learning, and
absolutely
preparing?
Yeah.
Right. And now you are a woman of power.
Many moments while living in that home where I felt powerless and I felt like a victim. And to change my mindset where I am a woman who has choice, I can change the narrative of my life. That's empowering.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so would we say that you were grieving to release that victim and powerless victim? Absolutely. Which is so perfect for women to hear, I would say, right?
Yes. Yeah, very powerful.
So that's true? You were grieving. That house represented powerless victim who needed to go because her purpose was served. She was done. You didn't need her anymore.
Yes.
I would say you didn't need her service anymore.
Right. Yeah. I really appreciate you stating it that way, because I didn't have that before this conversation. So yes, yeah, that's very true.
Right. It's an awareness. It's an awareness. Perfect. That's so great. Yes, that victim was, and now, by the way, when you get that awareness that victim left, and you now the woman of power, you can be unstoppable, right? Women's power is unstoppable. So let's talk about that woman's power. And first of all, what happened? So you got that, you were grieving and you were spending time in the house, and what was the result? The result was perfect. I already know it. So
yeah, I know. So this one particular night, I was like, okay, I'm ready to let go of this home because I'm ready to move forward. So it was that coming out of the cocoon and spreading my wings. And oh wow, yeah. So one of the songs was "Breakaway" by Kelly Clarkson. I did this dance ritual where it's 3 songs, and it's the first song is I break away, and I just freeformed danced like in this empty living room, and just like allowed myself to really feel the freedom of what was next and what the wings I grew by living in this home, right? So there was that part of this 3-part dance ritual. And then at the end of it, I don't know what energy it was, but I definitely felt compelled to verbalize out loud, it's just me in the home, to say, like, I am ready. This house is ready to receive the new owners. I am complete. There's a very much a moment of, I have completed my business that I needed to do here. I'm done growing in this, and I'm ready to move on to the next place.
Here, was it conscious? You just said it to yourself, or you felt it from inside? You
Felt it from
it
inside. It was from inside. It was coming from within and needed to, like, it was a uncomfortable moment for me. Like I've never tried this experiment of verbalizing and casting out alone. Like I've done it with others, like in witness of, but I was like talking to no one. So I was like, this is a little strange, like the little saboteur negative self-talk that popped into my head, but it also felt so deeply right to express this. And it was powerful. Like I knew the moment, like it just was like, yeah, I have released the energy in this home. And I invited in, I called in the next
hold on, what you invited, hold on, we will get that question.
Yeah.
But what, for the sake of women who would watch this interview, please say what you verbalized. What did you say? What did you cast out into the universe? It doesn't have to be exact, but approximately. Give an example.
I am ready. I'm ready to move on. Thank you. There was a lot of gratitude in that moment for what the home had given me. The laughter of what I experienced with my girls, the tears, laughter, joy, sadness, all of that. And I was so grateful. So I just kept thanking the home for what it provided me up until then. And then I moved into, I am ready to move forward. Like I'm looking forward to what's next.
So to me, it seems, or it looks like you have accepted that part of yourself, because I usually teach that what we resist persists. Yeah. When we're that victim, we are not comfortable with that victim. On one side we are, but on the other side, we don't want victim. We want to have that power. We want to be successful in life, whatever that means to us. So we usually resist, and that's why victim is staying comfortably with us. So for you, at that time, you accepted the house and you accepted that victim inside, and you said, okay, I love you, I accept you, and now you were free. Basically, you were free to let her go.
Yeah.
And it happened inside.
It did. Yeah. It was very profound.
It sure was.
Yeah.
It sure was. It's a great example for people to follow. It's not only about the house, it's any situation. It's the story of letting go.
Letting go without like resentment or anger, or it's again the acceptance of what happened. And
exactly, because if you're angry, you will never let go.
No.
Anger puts chains on that. And that's why I say what you resist persists. When you're angry, When you are mad, when you have irritation, frustration, any negative emotion associated with whatever it is you need to let go of, you will never do until you accept.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you were able to do.
Yeah.
Before you didn't, you were not ready yet. When
It
we say
wasn't.
you're not ready, what do you mean you're not ready? Well, because there are
I'm
emotions
holding on.
attached.
Yeah.
Exactly. And how do you hold on? Because you're resisting. We hold on through resistance. This is a paradox, right? But it is because if you are okay with it, if you accepted it, if you just fine with it and accept it and love it, forgive it, then it's free to leave. But
Yeah.
if you're holding onto it, you're holding the chain of anger or whatever it is. Makes sense, right?
It does make sense. And the other thing that just came up for me is like I had a limiting belief that I was an independent woman in this home, and by moving in with somebody, I would be losing my independence. So there was this limited belief that to be with someone means you can't be independent. And so I had to break that down too. It's like, no, I still get to be an independent woman, but in partnership with somebody. That's a
Right,
different thing than being dependent on somebody.
right. Oh, that's big.
Yeah.
Oh, that's big for women, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that was the 7 years, was figuring out how I can be independent and still be in partnership. And so
Mm-hmm.
I have that now, but it was still a struggle to like accept I'm moving in with somebody and going like, well, will I lose my sense of self?
Mm-hmm.
So being in connection with like, no, I'm still me.
Right.
Yeah.
And now I'm aware of and hold my power.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm aware, I'm awakened to my power. I don't have to lose it. I don't have to be dependent because I'm not that person anymore. I'm not the victim anymore.
And I want to throw a caution. It's a daily practice too, because
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't just happen overnight and like, oh, I've totally got this figured out, because
Right.
I'm still daily practicing like, okay, I am in relationship and I'm still an independent person. So it's a
Right.
constant reminder, especially when I came from a place of codependency in all of my prior relationships. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
moving from a codependent to a independent relationship is a journey.
Well, it's a spiritual journey that is never short.
Right.
People say, well, follow me as a marketing person, and in 3 months you'll be a millionaire. Well, we can't promise anything like
No,
that. And here
no,
in the spiritual journey is a journey. It's a journey,
it is absolutely always
right?
unfolding.
Right. And you get bigger and bigger, not in the worldly power, but deeper and deeper in your power,
Yeah.
bigger in your
The heart.
power. It's expansion. It's not even growing, it's expanding
Mm-hmm.
your light. Would you
Yeah.
say that?
Yes.
Expanding your life.
Yes.
And it shows you're glowing, you're happy. To hear more inspiring stories and practical tips on overcoming your challenges by going within and connecting with your divine power, make sure to subscribe to this channel. And then you invited the new family. You said you invited the energy of the new family.
Yeah, I moved into this place of like, okay, this home is ready to receive the next family. Like I'm excited to welcome in a new family. It's ready for you. The home wants you to be here. And so I just called that energy in. And that felt really good. It was like, yeah, this is right. I really have released myself from this home.
And then what happened?
Well, a couple days later, my real estate agent called me or sent me a message, and she's like, hey, guess what? I was like, what? She's like, well, we're about ready to get an offer. I was like, oh, okay. I go, tell me more. She's like, well, they actually came and visited on this night. I was like, are you kidding me? And she's like, why? I was like, well, I didn't tell you this, but I had a moment that night, I think it was like a Thursday night, where I did this dance ritual and I verbally like called in what I was releasing and calling in the new family. She's like, oh, wow. Well, later that night, somebody stopped by and toured the house for a whole hour. I was like, you're kidding me. She's like, no. And so that was the family who actually ended up buying it. So like that is the beautiful energy like that shifted, that allowed a new family to come in and really experience the house and see themselves there.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is so cool. Okay, a tricky question.
Okay.
The tricky question is, do you think it's a coincidence that you just the buyers showed up right away, or it's the result of your inner work?
I really believe it's the inner work. Like
That's right. That's why it was a tricky question.
Yeah, and it's hard to say that because my girls have, you know, kind of teased me about it. They're like, oh, whatever, and kind of the eye rolls because they're teenagers, right? They're like, I don't think so. I'm like, no, girls, like this happened because I let the energy go.
This is only happened because you let the energy go.
Yeah.
It is my firm conviction, my belief. It's all I stand for, because you can try outside world actions, traditional actions, and you may or may not get result. And when you don't get result, like you said, you didn't get results, this house was not selling, then when you've done your internal shift, the situation outside in the outer world shifted effortlessly, right? You
Yeah.
didn't need to struggle. You didn't need to clean the house another 700 times, right?
Right. Inside fixing like holes and like spackling and doing all these things to make it just perfect. Yeah.
Oh, I know. I've been through the experience of selling houses, couple of houses.
Yeah.
So I do know both ways. It's interesting. So yes, and because of your internal shift, internal work, internal willingness to get to the next level, the outside situation, I'm repeating it, shifted effortlessly. And that's how that's how you can repeat this experience now with any situation that is not working. Because you will know that it is inside of you. And there is the answer inside, whatever it is that you need to fix, right?
Yeah.
So that's actually a new technique or tool or whatever you want to
I can add to my own toolbox. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. How cool is that?
Yeah. And it was, I want to say like, oh, it was just me, but it was like, it was also me reaching out to community. So like in partnership with my colleague, Lindsay, and even like another coach I've been working with, Devora, like both women were sending energies or helping me move this energy in a different direction and in ways that is like, I would have never considered doing this 7 years ago when I sold the other house. That was just, it was merch, just get it done. And this one was more, it was definitely on an energetic level versus transactional. It was a way of being.
Would you say this is a powerful way of living life?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
And that's what makes you woman of power, right? As well, because you know you where, and you don't need to be powerless.
Right. And there will be people who criticize this, like, or like poke holes at it, but it really is empowering if you're allowing yourself to step into this energetic field of, it's inside of us. We have the ability to transform based on how we're feeling and how we're showing up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So what's your definition of power, internal power?
A listening, a self-knowing. Power is listening to that wise inner voice of self, giving it the attention it deserves to be heard. And power also is vulnerability. And that might feel like out of alignment for some people, but to be vulnerable and to let yourself try something new, that's powerful. And willing to make mistakes is powerful.
Right.
Willing to try.
Right. What would you recommend to people who are selling the house and it's not working? It's not selling. What would you say?
Um, allow, I would invite them into exploring what it is that they're resisting. What is it that they're attached to? What emotions are they afraid to even explore about their relationship with the home
And the
or
most
whatever
important
it is that
question,
they're in?
and there is a question that we need to ask ourselves. So, what would be the most important question to start this process?
What's going on right now?
Or maybe the question that you ask yourself, because what's going
Yeah,
on could take you to, okay, let me talk to the agent, what's going on. But
sure.
this question should be turned to yourself, right?
Yeah, what's going on here in my heart?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Because you asked that at the beginning intuitively, what is it in me that
Hmm.
is not selling the house?
Yeah, yeah. What am
So
I
that's a very
resistant
important
to?
question.
Yeah. What am I blocking? What am I resisting? What am I not seeing here
Mm-hmm.
right
Mm-hmm.
now or feeling? I think it's really what am I
Mm-hmm.
not feeling?
Or a feeling that shouldn't be there as a
Yeah,
feeling.
yeah.
Right, exactly. So this is the important question, and that's a golden nugget.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it feels good.
It does. It does. And like I invite anyone going through either selling a home or something big is just to kind of put the hand on the heart, truly physically just say like, what's going on here, or what do I want, or what's upsetting. And I don't think enough people give themselves the chance to just check in with their body and their heart. Like
Mm-hmm.
out of here, out of the brain, but coming down below.
Mm-hmm. Because the brain, the mind here, the conscious mind, will send you straight to the agent.
Yep, yep. Get practical, do, and get
Mm-hmm.
resentful or get impatient or get
Mm-hmm.
angry or frustrated. Like
And will
those
feel
are,
out of control.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
You mentioned that women were supporting you. You said you reached out to community, you yourself life coach, and you were reaching to other life coaches that who helped you at that time. They were mentoring you, right?
Yeah.
So why do you believe that we need mentors? You reached out to mentors to help to get help at that moment.
Because of what happens up here, right? We get this negative self-talk. Um, and sorry that like my kids are in the other hall and they're screaming. So you get these voices screaming at you in your head, and having community reflect back what they can see that we can't see in ourselves is a huge asset to moving forward with vulnerability and authenticity and heart and courage and all of those things, the compassion and kindness. It's like being in community with those that are helping you be your best self. And I just, that's where growth and love happens, and not being in a place of constricted isolation and aloneness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, I believe you've answered. We've dissected your story thoroughly,
Yeah.
right? And it's an absolutely powerful story, and
Thank you.
we got great teaching points for our viewers and listeners. And I'm sure you even got stuff, and I've been learning.
Absolutely. I
So
have some new ahas that when I'll rewatch this again, I'll be like, oh yeah, there's that nugget or two
right,
or three.
right, because it's great to that's great. It's great to look back and look at your situation from the awareness perspective. How was it? What was I releasing? What,
Hmm.
because awareness is important.
Hmm.
You can grow from it and release and go forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's living with the blinders off of
Mm-hmm.
self, right? So you're fully aware and touching base with your body and your heart to say like what is happening here.
You just gave me, I don't know if it will resonate with you or not. You just gave me an image of a horse with
Yeah.
blinders, right?
Yeah.
And the horse, to me, I always look at what things represent to me. So the horse represents power to me, right? Because we talk about 400 horsepower car,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Right.
Or whatever, how I don't even know how many horsepower, whatever in cars,
but yeah, power.
So it represents power. And horses a lot of times have to have those blinders because they get spooked, they don't. Again, it's a representation to me that you're so powerful, but you don't see that power, so the blinders are on. And when you open it, you take them off, and you know your power, because power is always there. Power didn't go anywhere. You didn't lose it anywhere.
Right. Because those blinders, what you just said, is like it's to keep the horse from getting spooked. But what if the horse is even more powerful without them on? Like, oh, I can, like, I can be impacted by whatever's coming off to the side and still move forward, or maybe change directions. But if you're not seeing it, how do you even know how to react?
And if you don't know your power, then you will be with blinders all this time, because she doesn't need, the horse doesn't need to be spooked. No. Meaning she's powerful. The horse is powerful.
Yeah.
Whoever that horse is.
And the blinders are to keep you from getting spooked. But what if you're supposed to be spooked every now and then? Like,
that too.
Right?
Yeah, that too. And what if those blinders are keeping you from knowing your power?
Yeah. Keeping you safe and moderated and without like reacting. Yeah.
Because
wow. That's a great metaphor to play with. Yeah.
And maybe you're sitting in that as a victim with those blinders, so always a powerful person, but a victim because blinders are on. Yeah.
keeps you steady, but maybe steady isn't what is necessarily needed in that moment. Maybe
it's
a gallop. Right.
That's right. We got to the point, we even got to the horses. So after the horse, now we want to know, where can we find more about you, and what free gift that you are willing to share with our audience?
Well, I can be found on Facebook or on the web. So Unlocking Your Potential, and unlocking is spelled a little differently because my last name is Finnish and it's Laak. So Unlocking Your Potential on Facebook and on the web. So that's where I am at. And I offer right now a free gift of charting your dreams. So through setting goals. So that's just something you can go click on my website and download that if you want it. And I invite you to just like check out my posts and get to know me.
And we should advertise this video in Finland so they can get a kick out of your last name and the website.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Taryn, for this fascinating, very powerful, empowering story, right? Empowering story.
It is empowering, and it feels a little scary too, sharing it, but it's also, as you just said, it's empowering to let that message come out and not hide it.
Right, and it's totally understandable. It's your sacred space. You just open up part of your sacred space, this particular moment of your sacred space, and you were willing to share, and I really commend you for that.
Thank you for making it a safe place to share.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe we need as I guess even a movement, because women especially, because I know that in the past, what I've learned or what I've observed, a lot of men like to be, I'm polished, I'm all together, everything must be together, right? Women usually, and I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm just, what like I said, it's my opinion. Women usually want to share and collaborate and be vulnerable, and it's okay to open up and say, I'm not perfect. And if I say that, other people are not perfect. Nobody is that polished, right? Everybody
Right.
has difficulties and challenges. So if you're constantly polished, then what can we learn from you? And when, right?
Yeah.
So it's that's why we're doing it and having fun here at the same time.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am a woman of power, helping women to awaken to and connect with their inner power. Until we meet again, goodbye. Remember to get practical tips and awareness shifting activities pertaining to this interview. Go to radiantmastery.com/practice to access your complimentary companion podcast practice. To hear more inspiring stories and practical tips on overcoming your challenges by going within and connecting with your divine power, make sure to subscribe to this channel.